So, when you think dachshund, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably the sausage dog or wiener dog, right? That super charming, long bodied, kind of comical little companion. But behind that face, there's a history that is fierce, and we're about to dig in. And yeah, for a long time now, especially in places like Great Britain and the US, we've known them as these wonderful family pets. That unique shape makes them one of the most recognizable dogs on the planet. But here's the thing. Their body wasn't designed for laughs or for cuddles. It was engineered for a very specific and frankly, very dangerous job. To really get to the heart of this breed, you've got to start with their name. It's a German word, and when you translate it, their whole original purpose is laid bare. Yep, you heard that right. Dachshund literally means badger dog. So let's just get the lapdog image out of our heads for a minute. This is a tenacious, earth-digging hunter, purpose-built to take on one of the toughest fighters in the forest. Okay, so let's rewind the clock. We're going back to 17th century Germany, which is where this whole story kicks off. And forget the fancy dog shows. We are deep in the woods, where farmers and hunters were desperate for a very, very special kind of dog. See, back then, badgers were a huge problem. They'd tear up crops and lived in these complex underground tunnels called setts. So what you needed was a dog that was fearless enough to face a badger head-on and small enough to chase it underground. The Dachshund was the answer. And what's so fascinating here is that their entire development was about the job. For over 200 years, breeders couldn't care less about aesthetics. They were just trying to perfect a hunter. That first official standard in 1879 pretty much cemented it. Their most important quality was being good at what they do. Form followed function, not the other way around. So let's break down that iconic body, because it's not a quirk, it's not a funny little accident of breeding. It is a highly specialized set of tools that come together to create the perfect underground hunter. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer is just pure, brilliant engineering designed for one single task: getting through the tight, winding tunnels of a badger's den. I mean, they are a complete package. Those short legs keep them low to the ground for tracking scents, and that long body lets them move through tunnels, almost like a snake. Their big, paddle-like paws are basically shovels for digging out dirt. And that surprisingly deep, loud bark, well, that's a built-in tracking device, so the hunter above ground knows exactly where the action is happening. Even their coats were totally functional. The original smooth coat was slick, making it harder for a badger to get a good grip during a fight. The wire and long-haired types, they were developed for working in different terrains, giving them more protection from thorns and branches. Every single detail had a purpose. Now, the Dachshund's identity really started to shift when it left Germany. Its journey to becoming the pet we know today really took off in Great Britain, where breeders had a totally different idea of what this dog should look like. And this is the crucial split. German breeders were still focused on creating the ultimate hunting machine, something agile and fit for function. But the early British fanciers, and this included royalty like Queen Victoria, were way more interested in the look. They preferred a heavier dog, something with droopier skin and more crooked legs. This was really the beginning of the divide between the working dog and the show dog. That strong German identity also became a huge liability for the breed. During World War I, anti-German sentiment was so high that Dachshunds were actually targeted. It got so bad that owners in America started calling them badger dogs, just to protect them. It's a pretty stark reminder of how tied this dog's identity is to its origins. But make no mistake, the Dachshund's hunting days are far from over. While yeah, many are beloved pets, those ancient instincts are very much alive, and plenty of them are still active working dogs today, especially over in Europe and in parts of the US. And they're incredibly versatile. They're used to track the blood trails of wounded deer, hunt foxes, and flush out rabbits. There's even something called dachshund falconry, where the dog flushes the prey and a hawk makes the catch. And get this, historically, packs of them were even used to track wild boar. These dogs are truly fearless. This quote from a modern hunter, Joseph Kurhayek, just captures their spirit perfectly. He talks about having to literally dig his dogs out of collapsed burrows and finding them wounded but proud as a devil. It just shows you that this instinct isn't just something that's trained into them. It's what they were born to do, and they absolutely love it. Even today, the international standard recognizes 3 different sizes, and they're all defined by their chest circumference. Why? Because that number tells you exactly what size burrow they can fit into. The standard was for badgers, the miniature for smaller game like foxes, and then there's the tiny Caninchin, or rabbit dachshund. which was bred specifically to get into the tightest rabbit hole. But this incredible, purpose-built anatomy comes with a price. The very features that make them such elite hunters also leave them vulnerable to some really serious health problems. A recent scientific paper says it all. Centuries of artificial selection, of breeding for that long spine and short legs, which is a form of dwarfism, have predisposed the breed to serious issues. We're talking particularly about debilitating back problems like intervertebral disc disease, or IVD, where the discs in their spine can bulge or even burst. And you can really see this when you compare the early, more athletic hunting dogs to some of today's show dogs. Sometimes you'll see more exaggerated features, even longer backs and shorter legs. And you can see how that focus on aesthetics can push these traits to an extreme, which unfortunately increases the health risks. So, we're left with this incredible dual identity. Inside that quirky, lovable pet is the soul of a tenacious badger hunter. They are a living, breathing piece of history, a marvel of functional design that somehow managed to capture our hearts and make their way from the forest floor to the family couch. And that brings us to a final, really crucial question. How do we honor the unique heritage that created the Dachshund, while at the same time making sure they have a healthy future? It's a challenge for breeders and owners alike to love the badger dog for everything that it is, while always prioritizing its long-term health and happiness.